I was 29 when this happened. At the time, I worked as a delivery coordinator for a regional medical supply company. Nothing glamorous, just routing trucks, double-checking invoices, and occasionally filling in on late-night drop-offs when someone called out. I've always been the dependable type, quiet, routine-oriented, the kind of person who finds comfort in predictability. This happened in late October, about 3 years ago, on a Thursday night that felt completely unremarkable at the time. It was already getting dark earlier, the air colder, the kind of night where everything sounds sharper. Footsteps, engines, your own breathing. I'd volunteered to handle a last-minute delivery to a small outpatient clinic on the edge of town. It wasn't technically dangerous, just inconvenient. The clinic sat in a mixed-use area, half light industrial warehouses, half older residential streets that had been slowly hollowing out over the years. I remember feeling mildly annoyed more than anything. I'd planned to go straight home, heat up leftovers, maybe watch something forgettable before bed. Instead, I found myself loading boxes into the company van under flickering fluorescent lights, sipping burnt coffee from a paper cup. Nothing about that night felt special. No gut feeling. No warning signs. If you'd asked me then, I would have said it was just another shift, another box checked on an ordinary life. That's what still messes with me the most. The drive out there took about 40 minutes. I listened to a local talk radio station, barely paying attention, mostly using the noise to stay alert. The van rattled the same way it always did when I hit bumps, and the heater blew air that smelled faintly like dust and rubber. I remember stopping at a red light and checking my phone. My sister had texted asking if I was free that weekend. I told her probably, assuming nothing weird would interfere with my plans. The clinic itself was small, squat, and poorly lit. One of those places that technically closes at 6, but keeps a skeleton crew late for paperwork and cleaning. I parked under a street lamp that buzzed like an insect and carried the boxes inside. The receptionist thanked me, made a joke about working too late, and buzzed me back out. The whole interaction lasted maybe 5 minutes. On the way back to the van, I noticed how quiet everything was. No traffic, no voices, just the hum of the street lamp and a dog barking somewhere far off. I got back into the driver's seat, set the route home, and pulled out slowly. I wasn't in a rush. I remember thinking about what I'd eat when I got back. Probably soup, maybe toast. About 10 minutes into the drive, I realized I was low on gas. The gauge hovered just above empty. I sighed and took the next exit, heading toward a gas station I'd used before. It wasn't great, but it was open late. That decision, the gas stop, was the last normal choice I made that night. The gas station sat at the corner of a long, poorly maintained road lined with closed auto shops and chain-link fences. Only 2 of the overhead lights were working, casting uneven pools of yellow light across the pavement. There was one other car there when I pulled in, a dark sedan parked near the air pump, engine running. I didn't think much of it at first. People stop for gas at night, that's normal. I shut off the van, stepped out and started filling the tank. The air smelled like gasoline and cold metal. Somewhere nearby, something clanged rhythmically, like a loose sign hitting a pole. I became aware of movement out of the corner of my eye. The sedan's driver's side door was open now. A man stood beside it, leaning slightly forward, hands in the pockets of a hoodie. He wasn't doing anything overtly threatening, just standing there, watching. I told myself I was being paranoid. Late nights make everyone a little jumpy, but then I realized he wasn't looking at the pumps. He wasn't checking his phone. He was looking directly at me. I avoided eye contact and focused on the numbers ticking up on the pump. I could feel the tension in my shoulders, the way your body reacts before your mind catches up. I glanced back again. He hadn't moved. That's when he lifted one hand. Not a wave. Not exactly. Just a small motion, like he was about to say something and changed his mind. I finished pumping gas faster than usual, the nozzle clunking louder than it should have when I put it back. I told myself I was overreacting. He hadn't said anything, hadn't approached me. Still, I got into the van quickly and locked the doors. As I pulled away, I checked the rear-view mirror. The sedan pulled out right after me. At first, I convinced myself it was coincidence. There were only two ways out of that gas station, and we were both heading toward the main road. That happens. But when I changed lanes, the sedan changed lanes too. When I slowed down slightly, it slowed with me. I felt my pulse pick up, a dull thudding in my ears that made everything else feel distant. I told myself not to panic, don't jump to conclusions. I made a right turn into a residential area I knew fairly well. Quiet streets, parked cars, porches lit by soft yellow bulbs. The sedan followed. I took another turn, then another. Each time, the headlights stayed behind me, steady and deliberate. I stopped at a stop sign longer than necessary, pretending to check my phone. The sedan stopped too. That's when the fear became real, cold and heavy, settling in my stomach. I considered calling someone, but I didn't want to escalate things unnecessarily. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'd look stupid. Instead, I drove toward a busier road, hoping the presence of other cars would shake him. It didn't. When I reached a long stretch with no streetlights, the sedan suddenly closed the distance between us. Its headlights flooded my mirrors, too close, too bright. Then I heard it, a sharp, concussive crack. At first, my brain couldn't process it. It sounded like a firecracker or a car backfiring. Then the rear window of the van exploded inward. Glass sprayed across the cargo area, tinkling against metal shelves. I screamed and ducked instinctively, jerking the steering wheel as my heart slammed against my ribs. Another crack. Something punched through the side panel behind me with a metallic shriek. That's when I understood. I was being shot at. I floored the accelerator, the van shuddering as it struggled to pick up speed. My hands were slick on the wheel, my vision narrowing until all I could see was the strip of road ahead and the glare behind me. Another shot rang out, impossibly loud inside the vehicle. I smelled something sharp and acrid, burnt metal, maybe gunpowder. I swerved onto a side street without signaling, tires screeching. The van fishtailed, and for a split second, I thought I'd lose control completely. The sedan followed, engine roaring now, no attempt to hide what was happening. I screamed into the empty cab, a sound I didn't recognize as my own. Up ahead, I saw a construction site. Orange cones, temporary fencing, and a narrow access road leading into darkness. I made a split-second decision and turned hard, crashing through a plastic barrier. The van jolted violently, alarms screaming as I barreled down the dirt path. The sedan hesitated at the entrance. Then headlights flooded the sight. Another shot fired, shattering the passenger side mirror. I slammed on the brakes near a stack of concrete pipes, threw the van into park and ran. I don't remember thinking, just moving. My feet slipped in the dirt as I ducked behind the pipes, pressing myself flat against the cold concrete. The sedan stopped somewhere behind me. Doors opened. Footsteps crunched slowly, deliberately. "Hey!" a man's voice called out, calm and almost curious. "You don't have to run. Less than a mile from where that gas station still stands." I bit down on my knuckle to keep from making a sound. My entire body shook, uncontrollably. The footsteps stopped. For a long moment, there was nothing but my own breathing and the distant hum of the idling engine. Then, without warning, the sedan sped away. Just like that. I stayed there for what felt like an hour, though it was probably only minutes. Eventually, I crawled out from behind the pipes and called the police with trembling hands. They came quickly. Lights, questions, radios crackling. Officers examined the van, the bullet holes, the shattered glass. One of them whistled softly under his breath. They took my statement, asked if I recognized the man, if I'd been involved in anything illegal, if I'd had conflicts with anyone. I hadn't. None. They never found the sedan. Insurance covered the damage. My boss was sympathetic but distant. Life resumed its shape, as life tends to do. But something in me never quite settled back into place. It's been 3 years now. I still flinch at sudden noises, still check my mirrors more than necessary. Sometimes when I'm stopped at a light at night, I swear I see that same kind of car idling a little too close behind me. I never saw his face clearly, never knew why he chose me. And that's the part that keeps me awake, knowing that somewhere out there is a man who once decided, for reasons I'll never understand, that I shouldn't make it home.